Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of ISM Radio. I'm your host, Gage, and I'm here tonight at Oheka Castle for the executive networking event with ISM, and I have the pleasure of sitting here in the library with Rachel Michaelov. How you doing, Rachel?
I'm great. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for joining us here. What do you think of the castle?
It's absolutely amazing. I love the energy here, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, this place is incredible. A lot of people don't know it's a hotel. Everybody knows they have weddings here and whatnot, but there's a restaurant, there's a hotel. They do tours. They do all kinds of stuff. There's events here all the time. Very cool. And did you get to meet Gary? He's walking around. I mean, you're in his house. He lives here. It's pretty good. It's pretty cool.
It is, yeah.
So you are the CFO at EmpireTaxAdvisors.com. And I'll say the website. It's Empire Tax Advisors, but the website is EmpireTaxAdvisors.com if any of you guys want to head over there and check it out. I was there today. It's actually pretty cool.
Nice, thank you.
And I saw the story of how you got started and what kind of brought you into this industry. And it was a really cool story. It was very interesting, which I'm sure people are going to go see it and read it. And you're going to tell them a little bit about it. So tell them a little bit of how you got started and a little bit about your dad.
Sure. So I was 18 years old, and we were at home, and all of a sudden, 6 a.m., U.S. Marshals break our doors, and we're like, what's going on? It's 6 a.m. We got scared. We thought it was like a terror attack or something. And we're like, we see, 5, 6 police officers and cops raiding my house. And they arrest my dad, and they take my dad in this white car. And I'm like, Dad, what's happening? And my mom is screaming, and my mom starts waking everybody up, and we're like, what's going on? It was such a chaos moment. And I remember asking the U.S. Marshal, like, why are you arresting my dad?
Right.
My dad is an amazing person. Like, he always helped the community. He did everything he needed to. He helped business owners. He helped individuals get their first car. He was just a beautiful individual, a beautiful human being, always kind and helping other people. And I said, why is this happening? He goes, he didn't pay his taxes, so we need to take him. And I said, what? How could this be? So I said, where are you taking my dad?
Right.
He goes, I'm taking him to 26 Federal Plaza. If you want, meet me there.
Right.
So me and my brother, I'm 18, he's like 16. We go to the train station, we take the F train, and we're going to 26 Federal Plaza. And we're like, what is happening? And my dad is there. He's arrested. We can't even see him. And we're like, what's happening? And we go to the accountant, and he goes, I thought that we filed the sales tax returns. And I'm like, what do you mean you thought? What do you mean? You're supposed to ask for the right documentation so my dad can give you the stuff that you need so you could accurately file what's needed. My dad is a great business person, just like all of us business owners.
Right.
We want to make an impact. We want to help other people. And we don't know the legal and accounting side of things. That's why we hire experts and professionals, so you could get guidance from them.
And somebody made a human error.
Either a human error
or it affected your family.
Exactly. It affected my entire family. And my dad had to, he got deported back to his country. And he ended up paying $1.5 million in taxes and penalties.
I saw that number on the website. It was astronomical.
Yeah, it's huge. And I'm like, how does that make sense? Just because he also thought that he hired a CPA, and it was just a regular accountant who said that they were certified, and they called themselves a chartered accountant. And my dad thought it was a CPA. He goes, yeah, you're an accountant. You know what you're doing.
Right.
And I'm like, no, Dad, this is a chartered accountant. It's different.
They were misrepresented.
Exactly. So you need to know who you're hiring and what they're doing. And you have to have the right designation, because there's bookkeepers, there are payroll providers, there are different people that you think that they're under the umbrella of accounting, but are they really doing what they need to do for your business?
Right. I think on the website too, you had said somewhere that the bookkeeper doesn't talk to the payroll company. The payroll doesn't call. And at the end of the day, it comes down to they don't even talk to the person who's preparing the taxes.
Exactly.
So it goes through that whole process, and
Yep,
it's not going through the team of people that you have working for you.
Exactly. So we have business owners coming to us, and they're like, I'm lost. Why am I going after my bookkeeper? And then they have a payroll service provider like ADP or Paychecks, right? That they're just processing payroll. That's their only job. They're doing like a robotic job. They take your hours, they take your hourly pay, and they give you a pay stub. That's it. But do they tell you how much you need to be paying yourself as the owner?
Right.
No, they can't because they're not looking at your P&L, right? When you're making $1 million a year, you want to know what you should be paying yourself. Because if you're an S corp, you're supposed to be paying yourself a reasonable compensation, but the IRS doesn't tell you what's reasonable. So
Right.
you need an accountant to guide you. But how does an accountant guide you if they're not looking at your numbers?
Right. And this all varies, whether you, like you just said, S corp, whether you're an S corp,
Exactly.
whether you're a C corp, whether you're an LLC.
That's right. Whether a single member LLC, multi-member LLC, because you're not allowed to be on payroll if you're a single member LLC or a multi-member LLC. It's actually illegal. But you could be, on payroll when you're a C corp or an S corp, and you need to know what is the entity. But payroll companies don't review your entities. They don't review your numbers. And there's a lot of disconnect in the financial world for a small business owner that's trying to run their company, hiring employees, doing everything. It's hard for them to juggle between the bookkeeper, the payroll person, the year-end accountant,
Right.
and there's an ego. The bookkeeper is not going to talk to the payroll person. The payroll person is not going to talk to the CPA at the end of the year. And guess what? In July, when you want to buy your beautiful home and you need that CPA letter, your CPA is on vacation. They're not even going to give you that CPA letter, and they're not going to help you get that home. And then also like estimated tax payments. Payments are due April 15th, June 15th, September 15th, and January 15th. Who's making those estimated payments? Most of the time,
Right.
CPAs are not available. So you're not making those estimated payments. And then also your notices, your 1099s. This is why we say you need one accountant
Right.
that helps you with it all.
And that's you.
That's us. That's why I innovated and I created this company. So you have one hub of everyone. We even do workers' comp audits because, when you have payroll in New York State, you're required to have workers' comp insurance, and we help the business owner with it. It's not part of our responsibility, but we just don't want the business owner to have a lot on their plate. They already have a lot. So
Right.
anything related
Running the
to
business.
exactly.
Yeah. They can't run the business and do their
Right.
financial tax, everything with the taxes.
It's too much.
Yeah,
They're
it's a lot.
selling, they're working with their vendors. It's a lot. So they don't need to deal with the financial part. We just take care of it.
Right.
And that's it.
Well, it's a one-stop shop. That's what people
Exactly.
need these days because like you said, they have all those different accountants that are doing
Yeah.
different services for them. And
Right.
to put it all together, it's got to come under one umbrella.
Right. Exactly. And then tax planning is another thing. Like tax planning, a lot of accountants, especially in like New York, they don't even do tax planning. They do your books, they do your payroll, they do your taxes. But who is there to help you reduce your taxable liability? A lot of them don't do that because, I went to school for accounting and they don't even teach these things in school.
Right.
Unfortunately, I went to advanced tax training to learn what I know. I paid over, I would say, $300,000 in coaching just to make sure that I'm the best at what I am because I have that fear of making a mistake. And I want to make sure that I have the right colleagues and CPAs that I trust. And I have the right mentors that, I'm doing the right thing. And because I'm just afraid. I'm afraid to make a mistake. I want to make sure that I paid enough mentors to help me grow and
Right.
and have the knowledge and education that I need.
But having the knowledge and the education is one thing, but these things are always evolving and changing. And if you're not staying up to date with the current
Exactly.
changes, to be able to, educate your customers and let them know where
Right.
they need to make the changes and adjust.
Exactly.
Because
Which is
it's
why I
always changing.
travel. Yep. That's why I'm traveling to Orlando later this month. I'm traveling to California and I travel to a lot of conferences because I have 5 kids and that's no excuse. But I
Right.
still travel to make sure that I get the best knowledge and so I can help my clients because there's no excuse. I want to make sure that I do the best for them. And I wish that accountant did the same thing for my dad. He just did,
Sure.
filing papers and that's it. Did he really care? Did he put his heart into what he's doing? No, he didn't.
No.
Because if he did, then my father wouldn't be in that situation. He passed away, I think 14 or 15 years later.
Mhm.
And it was because of all the added stress. He had to get deported. He was in jail for a few months and then he wanted to come back to the country to see his kids. It's just hard. And I said, I'm not going to be a nurse. I want to be a nurse or a doctor. I said, I'm going to be an accountant because there is a need that small business owners need guidance.
Right.
And I promise that I will help other people, give them the guidance that they need, not just file their returns, but give them the guidance.
Well, that's what made you so good at what you do and why you're so passionate about
Yeah.
it. So your dad kind of gave that to you.
He did,
He
yeah.
motivated you for that.
He
But
did.
now you're taking it to a whole new level. So let people know that are listening, how you can help them in different ways, services that you offer that they might be overlooking and not thinking about, listening to what you're talking about now.
Yeah, so we offer different packages for small business owners. We help them with bookkeeping, whether they're making $10,000 a month or $100K a month, it doesn't matter.
Right.
We make sure that we help the customer, regardless of how, we also even have clients that come to us once a year because they're so small.
Right.
They don't need us. Why would we sell something to a customer if they don't need monthly services, right? There's some clients that are doing so well and we say, hey, listen, you're such a small business, you don't even need us. We'll guide you and we'll make sure that you're going to be good at the end of the year. And they actually give us great reviews because we're honest with them. And they refer people to us because of our honesty.
And what
right?
about the big corporations that need to file quarterly and stay on top of stuff?
Right. So we tell people if you're making at least $10,000 to $15,000 on a monthly basis and you're growing really fast, where you need to hire people, you need to have insurances. Well, we don't do insurances, but we help you get it, because you need to have workers' comp insurance and
Right.
you want to make sure you're compliant. And then we make sure that we process payroll for you. We do your sales tax, your corporate returns, your individual returns. We do it all. And you never need to remind me of a tax deadline.
Right. You're reminding them.
Exactly. Right. So it just drives me crazy when clients say, oh, I needed to remind my accountant of this deadline. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, do you go to a dentist and tell them what you need? A root
Right.
canal?
Wait,
Imagine.
I'll be here in 6 months for my routine.
Right, exactly.
They're telling you.
Like, no, I'll tell you. You come to me and I'll take care of you, right? So I say, hey, you need either monthly bookkeeping or quarterly bookkeeping or annual bookkeeping based on how many transactions we see and based on the IRS guidelines. Then we say, hey, you're making a lot of money. You need to start paying yourself a reasonable compensation. And based on your skills, the state that you're in, your profession, we calculate a reasonable compensation. Because think about it. Some people say, my reasonable compensation should be $150,000. I go, how'd you calculate that? They go, oh, I just need like $10,000, $15,000 because of my personal expenses. But when you interview someone, do I care about their personal expenses? No, I don't care what your personal expenses are. I care about your skills, what you bring to the table, what your resume says, and then I tell you what your rate is, right? It doesn't matter if you're living at home or if your rent is $5,000. So we look at specific guidelines that the IRS says. What's your education level? What state are you in? How many years of experience do you have? Because a dentist or a doctor or even a business owner at 1 year business level, they're going to be at a different rate if you're 10 years into the business. Right. So we need to calculate what the reasonable compensation is. And then we do the robotic work processing payroll. But there has to be a strategy behind it. Always. Right. We need a roadmap and then we're going forward. And then after we calculate their estimated tax payments, we make the estimated payments. Because again, we never trust business owners to make those payments because they're never going to make it.
No, they don't want to make those payments. That's a payment nobody wants to make.
Exactly. And they're not going to mail it. They're going to forget. And if we tell the client, hey, go to irs.gov and make the payment, they may make it a day later because they're so busy. We just say, hey, client, do you give us permission for us to make this X amount payment on this date? Do you have from this account ending in 00, whatever? They say yes. That's all you need to tell me.
That's it.
Yes. That's all. Yes.
Now it's taken care of.
Exactly.
One less thing you got to worry about. Go run your business, run your life, your family.
That's right. And then you know what? Sometimes if they don't even respond to us via email, we text them because we care.
Right.
We just say, hey, you have
You can't trust that they're not going to open the email in a week, that they're busy.
Right. Exactly. Because they could be busy. And who reviews their email? I mean, you could be at if you're a doctor, you're seeing patients back to back.
Right.
You may not see your emails. Right. You may miss
Usually they have an assistant that's checking that stuff.
Right.
But again, you're dealing with
Yeah, CEOs, and a lot of times they're private. They don't even want to share how much money they're making.
Right.
So we text, we say, hey, do you give us permission? All we need is a yes. And then we email them the confirmation that it was done. So we make it easy for business owners, and we do everything all under one roof, and we just take care of it.
Sure. And then they have the stock market and all the capital gains and all the money that they're making outside of the business, or they have rental properties.
Exactly, because they're growing.
That's right. So all those things come into play, and they don't realize how important it is to have somebody helping them.
Exactly. It's super important to have one person give guidance. That's the most important thing. Like, do you speak to your CPA on a monthly basis? What are your financial goals? Do you go over it? And a lot of times they don't.
where can people get in touch with you? And where are you guys located? Like, where is the office? Where do you guys work out of?
Thank you. So I live in New York. I live in Jamaica Estates.
Okay.
And I have a remote team, and my clients we have clients all over, like nationwide.
Excellent.
Yeah, I have employees in Texas and Arkansas, California, Orlando, really nationwide. We meet our clients on Zoom, on camera, so it's personable. But if anybody wants to meet with me and they're in New York, I don't mind getting an office. I'm actually looking for an office, just so it's more one-on-one personable. But people could meet us. They could find us on Instagram, Empire Tax Advisors, or if they're a dentist, we have a separate company just for dentists called Practice Wealth Partners. And we're only working with dentists and doctors for that company because we really want to go big on helping dentists. I recently helped a dentist save $1.1 million in taxes, and then another dentist save over $600,000 in taxes. And they overpaid in taxes for years.
That's a lot of money.
Yes.
So how happy were they when they
they
finally found you and this happened? And
yes. Yeah. And we have another client coming on board. He has a $500,000 tax bill, and his CPA is focused on dentists. And his CPA said, you're making a lot of money, so you got to pay the IRS. And no, there are ways to reduce your taxable liability legally. But a lot of old school accountants are not familiar with it, and they are afraid of it because they haven't really took the education on it.
Okay.
I don't know. So when you take advanced education and you study these strategies, there are ways that you could reduce your liability to zero.
So who is a good dental prospect for a new client for you? Is it somebody with a small office? Is it a nationwide company? What would be an ideal dental office that would come to you now that they hear this podcast and like, oh, wow.
Right.
She can save me $1 million or $500,000.
Yeah, I would say any dental owner that's starting out, because when you have a relationship, you really grow fast. And a lot of dental companies, they're making, let's say in the very beginning, $30K, and then they really grow to $50K, $100K a month. You know, they're making on average about $1 million a year. So we could still save them $100 to $200K in taxes, depending on what their bottom line is. But, you know, you always want to have an accounting company and work with us from the very beginning, because you need to set your entity from day one. You may not need your books right away. Right. We have a company right now that we're working with. It's a dental company in Hollywood, Florida. He just said, hey, guys, I'm launching in 2 weeks. He was in construction mode for a few months. He's like, I'm hiring my entire team. I won't be able to talk to you in a few weeks. Let's just get all the paperwork now so I could just be working and you just handle all
everything.
my bookkeeping.
That's it.
That's it. And we gave him a very low rate in the very beginning, and we're going to grow with him.
Right.
So, you know, as you grow, our prices go up, but you don't want to hire someone when it's too late, because that's when you overpay in taxes and you're in a big mess.
Right. And you've already made mistakes and you're not compliant with things, and you'll keep him compliant the whole way through.
Right.
And you're texting him and saying, hey, you forgot this.
Exactly.
Let's do this. Or give me the account number. I'm going to pay this for you.
Exactly.
Which is what they need.
Right.
And that helps a business grow. And so that he grows, and now you're growing with him, he's going to pay you more money.
Exactly.
So,
and you know what they want? They really want peace of mind.
Right.
Every
100%.
business owner, right? They're coming home and they're like, oh my God, is the IRS after
Nobody wants
me?
to hear the word audit.
Exactly.
And that's why you hire somebody like you.
That's right. Yeah. And our books are in perfect shape. We put everything into QuickBooks. Everything is perfect. And if we don't know something, we always schedule meetings with the dentists or doctors or business owners, and we ask. If we don't know, we ask. And a lot of accountants assume things. They assume cash transactions are personal. They assume, you know, we had a client that assumed there was a software called Kajabi, and they assumed it was personal. Like, no, if we need something, we'll ask you. And that's how we're different.
Right. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And people need to go to your website and check you out, because, and the dental industry. So you got a couple of things covered there. You guys are doing great. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So you guys should head over to EmpireTaxAdvisors.com if you want to get in touch with Rachel, because she's awesome at what she does. She's very passionate about it. Yeah. You heard the story. I read the story on the website, and I knew we were going to hear about it more today. So that was very cool to hear up close and personal and on camera. So now it's recorded forever, and you guys could listen to it over and over and over again. So we hope you enjoyed this episode. Is there anything else you'd like to touch base on and let them know about the company, or is there anything else just to close it out?
They could follow us on Instagram, Empire Tax Advisors.
Okay.
And just follow us. And if you have any questions, even if you're thinking about something or starting a new business, just reach out. We always offer a free consultation. It doesn't hurt. If we can help you, we will tell you. If we can't, we will be honest and let you know as well.
Well, it doesn't get any more transparent than that. And a free consultation, everybody can afford that. So reach out to them, guys. Head on over to EmpireTaxAdvisors.com. We are at Oheka Castle. This was a great event tonight. I'm glad you guys made it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, I'm your host, Gage, signing off with Rachel. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.